Okay, now to the data science thing, right? So why should you register for data science? So this is a motivation for you people. um, why data science, right? So probably you know about it, that data science is one of the emerging domain in which we have a lot of job opportunities, and even these jobs that we have in data science are challenging, and at the same time these are highly paid jobs as well. So let's look at some reference and try to understand that how important data science is in today's scenario. So there was this report which has been mentioned right here, and if you're interested in knowing about this report in detail, you can follow this link and read about it. And it says that the demand for data scientists is too much, and we don't have those many data scientists right now. So what does it say? It says that data science skills are in high demand across the industries. So how much is that? So we are lacking 151,717 data scientists. So these many positions are not filled because of the lack of that skill. We don't have sufficient data scientists. There are 151,717 vacancies in data science for which we could not find the skilled people. A big motivation for us. That's one resource. And how about this one? Now, the data scientist job has been selected by Glassdoor as the most satisfying job and the best paid job in 2016, 17, 18, and 19. So you can see that consistent trend, which highlights the fact that data science has a big future, a very bright future. All right. Now, well, what are we going to study? Again, this is kind of unrelated to the previous topics, but that's important. What will we teach? We will teach you the theory as well as the practical aspects of data science, techniques. Theory as well as the programming skills are required, and we will teach that. Now, the next slide is related to what we have here. Here, the question that we were answering was, why should we study data science today? So one of the motivation is that you have very bright future in data science. And there could be other reasons also, like you might be fascinated by data science, right? It can happen. I love data science. I like the challenges, I like the problems in data science. So that could be the case with you also. But other than that, you have this career prospect. It's in high demand. Okay, so now the point is, why are these jobs so much in demand? Why do we have a shortage in supply? Okay, why do we have a shortage? The reason is that it is challenging, right? So it's not easy. So the next question right here in this slide is data science challenging? Well, the answer to that is yes, it is. That's the reason that data scientists are paid highly. So what are the challenges? Well, it has to do with the nature of data science. You need to know a lot of skills. What are these skills? For being a successful data scientist, you should have a decent background in probability. You should have decent understanding of linear algebra. You should know statistics. You should also have some idea about machine learning algorithms. You should know how to visualize the data. You should have decent programming skill, and at the same time you should have some domain knowledge as well. So I have some experience of appearing in an interview, and I did pretty well. I was good in machine learning, and I was answering all the questions, but that was an interview for a bank. Unfortunately, I did not have a background in finance, so that went against me. So the message is that you should be good in these domain. You should know probability, linear algebra, machine learning. You should have a decent programming skill, but at the same time you should also have some background information. You should know the domain as well. So if you want to do a data science in on a medical data, then you should have some understanding of the domain. You should know what problem you are solving. You should understand the data. Okay, so domain knowledge is also very handy. So as an example, say there is a company which works on images, and you have to analyze images, but you don't have the background in images, so that will be a negative factor. Alright, so all these components that we need to learn in data science makes it a little challenging. Okay, now, well, you might be thinking about it, it's only the introductory lecture and we are supposed to know so much. So can I become a data scientist when I don't know much of these things that you spoke about? Right, so if you want to count, then this is 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7 skills to have just for one domain, which is data science. Fortunately or unfortunately, that is the case. But one good news is that if you don't know most of these things, even then you are fine. Okay, why? So that's the question. I don't know much of these. Can I dream to be a data scientist? Well, yes, the answer is yes, you can. What you need is that enthusiasm. You should have the dream to be a data scientist, and then you should be ready to work hard for that. Okay, so now what is the good news in this case? The good news is about the libraries that we have available. So in Python we have a lot of libraries available in which we will have the implementation of these algorithms, which are very handy in data science. So you won't have to reinvent the wheel. As an example, if you have to use neural network, so artificial neural network is a classification and even regression algorithm which is heavily used in machine learning and yes, in data science. So you won't have to implement neural network or artificial neural network right from scratch. We have that already implemented in Python libraries like sklearn, scikit-learn. Okay, so you should have the determination to go and read about those libraries on the manual or the references, and then you can start using it. Alright, so these libraries that you have are good way to start practicing data science. Alright, so that's a good news actually, because a lot of things have been already implemented. So what you need to do is to learn about those algorithms, because the implementation has been already done, and these are very standard implementations, and these are very efficient as well. Okay, so if you don't know most of the stuff right here, don't give up the hope. Anyway, we have to learn that in this course. Good. And a lot of times when you start working on a project, then while working on the project you learn a lot of things that you didn't know about. Alright, so now the big question. For data science, what is the best language? What language should I use? Well, now the good news is right now, as of today, Python is considered to be the best language for data science. Well, maybe some 5 or 6 years back, if you had asked me this question, then I would have said Python and R. So R and Python were competing to get the top position for data science language. But as of today, I'll say that Python has taken the lead. Alright, so Python is the winner in today's scenario, I'll say, for data science. But still, R is a language which is still popular in a community which is mostly the community of the statisticians. They love R. So if you're coming from the statistics background, you would still like to use use R as a language. So R is still a popular language in data science, but it's confined to the statisticians. They use R. But we will stick to Python. MATLAB is another powerful language which we can use for data science. It's a very good language, but there is a price attached to it. You need to buy MATLAB, then only you can use it, whereas Python and R are free. For MATLAB you need to buy that. So for that reason, maybe a lot of startup companies may not be ready to invest into MATLAB, and they would encourage you to learn the language like Python or R, which are freely available. Excuse me. There are other languages like Java and Scala which are popular too, but not many people use it. There are some people they like to use Java and Scala, but most of the people right now they are using Python for data science. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, another good news for Python. So this is regarding the top programming languages in 2019, which was the most recent ranking that I could get, and this is being referenced from Spectrum, IEEE Spectrum, and here also you can see that Python is #1. So there's some score. I don't know how did they compute this score, but if you look at the score, then Python has 100%, 100 score. Then you have Java, C, then C++, and R is the 5th language, and Python is #1. So this will should convince us that we will stick to Python for CSE351. Okay, so again, you'd be curious to know, like, how are we going to how we'll teach you the data science. So what would be the approach to the lecture? So here we will start with one small topic or a problem, and then we'll make sure that we are looking at the theory, and after understanding the theory we are looking at its implementation. So wherever it will be possible to implement, we will implement, and in some cases, in some machine learning algorithms, its implementation is very difficult. So in those cases, what we will do, in those cases we'll learn the libraries and we'll make sure that we understand how to use these libraries. Okay, so it will be a good mix of theory as well as implementation, and we will take one problem at a time and we'll solve that using theory, and then we'll look at the implementation as well. Now, if you already have a good background in probability, statistics, you understand linear algebra, and you have done programming in Python, then that's a good news. But if not, don't worry, be ready to learn that, because it's a good opportunity, and you'll be all right. And in this process we will look at some important machine learning topics, because if you remember, I said that this is an interdisciplinary course, multidisciplinary, and we have the techniques from different domains like machine learning, statistics, and probability. So machine learning is a very important component of data science. So for that reason, we will go over some very important machine learning algorithms. And why are we doing it? The reason being that we don't want to use any algorithm as a black box, right? And as I made the statement that we will be using Python, and in Python we have some very good libraries, and we'll be using those libraries for our algorithm. But when we are using the library, we should also understand like what has been implemented in that. Although we will not implement those algorithms, but we should understand how that algorithm works. As an example, neural networks, artificial neural networks. So we should know how an artificial neural network works, and with that information we will use the implementation of ANN, which is available in sklearn, scikit-learn library of Python. Okay, so now what is data science, right? Let's start understanding it. Let's make sure that we understand what this domain is. So, well, you were expecting that we'll get a definition for data science, but unfortunately we cannot define data science because it is still emerging. Everybody, most of the people, they'll have their own definition of data science. So we may not have a globally agreed upon definition of data science. But what we know for sure about data science is that it has different components in it. And what are the different elements of the component of data science? We have exploratory data analysis and visualization. You have machine learning and statistics. You will have high performance computing. Well, you can go on. There are only three components. I can add databases as well, right? So that's the reason I said that this definition is very open. You can have 3 or 4 people, and these 3 or 4 people can come up with 3 or 4 different definition of data science, and every definition might be correct, although different, but they all may have a correct definition of data science. So I found this picture very interesting, which I have borrowed from this article on Medium. So what do we have here? Look at this diagram. We have 3 circles. So this circle on the left that you have, which I believe is in pink color, you have computer science. Then on the right hand side, the blue circle that you have, it is about math and statistics. Then you have the subject matter, which is the domain knowledge. Now when you look at the intersection of all these 3 domains, then right here, the center that you're looking at, this region is your data science. So that means this data science that you have is the domain which falls in the intersection of computer science, maths and statistics, and as well as the domain knowledge. Alright, and you have machine learning right here. So that's an interesting picture which I found about data science. Alright, so that is about it. It's an interdisciplinary domain which involves a lot of techniques like data analysis, data visualization. It will have the techniques from machine learning, the techniques from statistics, and some techniques from high performance computing. Now you might wonder, like, why do we need high performance computing? Well, the answer to that is that most often the data science approach that we have to apply on the data might be on a very big data, right? So we will not always get a very small data. The data could be very big. So if the data is pretty big, say in terabytes, alright, and even if terabyte is too much, even if your data size is in 10 GB, it will be very difficult for you to work on that data on your personal computer. 10 GB might give you a difficult time. So for those cases where your data size may be very big, we will have to use the big data approach. We will have to use high performance computing. Okay, so that is also an important component of data science. Okay, so the last slide in this very first introductory lecture is why data science? Like, this question could be rephrased like, why is data science so important, or why should we doing the data science at the first place? Well, to answer that question, I'll say that in today's age, we have a lot of data available. So data is being generated at a very fast pace. and we have a lot of technological development. We are carrying smart phones, mobile phones with us, and there are a lot of apps which are storing your data, and this data is being collected at place somewhere in some data center. So the message is that because of the technological development, the data is being generated at a very high pace. There are a lot of things, there are a lot of equipments which are generating a lot of data, and now this data has become a very important resource. And for these organizations who are generating this data is very important. Just think about the systems like any e-commerce system. You can think about Amazon. So the Amazon has a lot of users. The users are doing shopping there. Then Amazon is storing the behavior of the customer. Now this data that they are collecting about different users and their shopping habits is a big resource for them. They can utilize that. They can come up with the recommendation system, and in fact they do have recommender system. So probably this is something you might have felt when you go and you're shopping for a textbook. You might find some recommendations down there. So how is that recommendation being generated? Well, there is some algorithm working behind the scene, which is uh, which has been developed or modeled using the data set which is available to Amazon. Okay, so the message is that we are generating a lot of data in different domains, and now when we have so much of data, now these organizations, they want to understand like how can they learn from the data and use that learning from the data to have the business advantage, to have the competitive advantage, right? So now this has become very important. Huge data, and another thing that we have in our favor is the advances that we are making in technology. Now we have cheaper storage devices, we have faster processors, we have very efficient machines. So now something which was impossible to implement because of the hardware limitations maybe some 10 years back has become possible now. We have we have clusters now. We have very powerful machines now. The storage devices have become cheaper. So all these things are working in our favor, and that's the reason why data science has picked up so much. And then we have some role models as well. We see different organizations around us, different companies around us, which have been very successful by exploiting the machine learning algorithms or by doing data science. So the examples could be Google and some hedge funds, and then there are some smart people like Nat Silver. If you want to read about him, you will find some interesting facts. He's a statistician who has done some interesting data analytics and which made him a very popular. So he had done some baseball scores analysis, match analysis, or data analysis, and he also did some election based data analysis. Alright, so I believe I should stop right here, and this is sufficient for our first introductory lecture, and in my next video lecture I will cover the the next topic. Alright, thank you so much. Bye bye.